This is a battle sent by Imperator. Now, something I've wanted to do for quite some time. I know I asked a while ago about, for people to send me replays, so I could watch them, comment them, upload them. And there's been a huge tournament, the Use It Lose It tournament, and tournament gameplay, or tournament games, since they are time sensitive, I always give those priority. So I haven't been able to upload too many battles submitted to me by others, unfortunately. But when there are no big tournaments going on, and I don't get a bunch of replays from that, I think it would be fun to watch and comment on games sent by viewers to my channel, because I think one of the fun things about having a channel is to be able to, in essence, it might sound a bit flamboyant saying giving something back, but I guess interacting would be the right word, because when I just started Rome 2, something I kind of missed was the ability to have a resource where I could improve, and not just from playing the game, but from knowing which units were good against which units, from tests and stuff, and that's essentially how I decided to start my channel. So another thing that I thought would have been really cool when I started playing Rome 2 was if someone commented on my battles, because I learned a lot from watching when I played tournaments and other people would comment on my battles. I would learn just so much from it. So the risky thing about accepting viewer submitted battles is, of course, that the battle might be utter shit. On the other hand, the battle might be great. A small caveat: I will not pussyfoot around the fact that mistakes are made, and will be completely honest in regards to army composition, micro mistakes and stuff like that. But it's not to be mean to anyone, it's just to point out what's actually happening on the battlefield. I'm not going to pretend that something's happening that's not happening, so that something's happening that I don't see happening on the battlefield. So without further ado, here is the battle. Imperator is coming up against an Egyptian army with his Odrysian Kingdom army. So first of all, let's have a look at his army composition here. He has a Thracian Royal Cav General, he has 2 Thracian Nobles, safely tucked away behind the rest of his army. On his flanks he has Thracian Horsemen, 1 Thracian Horse actually, so a bit less cavalry than I would have expected. 2 Thracian Cavalry, a front line of, let's see, 3 Mercenary Veteran Hoplites, a rock solid front line there, backed up by Mercenary Folksmen, a few cheap spears, Thracian Warriors, some Thracian Skirmishers, great for close range skirmish support. So going up against Egypt, maybe he was expecting Elephant Chariot, but there was no such thing to be found on the Egyptian side. For Egypt, we have Citizen Cavalry, and basically the Egyptian cavalry is no real threat. The Citizen Cavalry is no real threat to the Odrysian Kingdom either. Then we have Thorax Swords, a bunch of Thorax Swords, a bunch of Galatian Swords, and these Galatian Swords are sneaky little bastards. They can do a lot of damage on the charge with their 28 charge bonus and their precursors, but they're a very fragile unit. But this is where things get interesting, because Egypt has just tanked up on these Egyptian Slingers, Mercenary Rhodians. So a total of 3 Mercenary Rhodians and 3 Slingers, and if these units get to focus fire on the Thracian Warriors and the Thracian Nobles, they can drop them insanely quick. However, the mercenary there was only 2 Mercenary Veteran Hoplites and 1 Mercenary Hoplite. So I think this is a very nice setup for the Odrysian Kingdom. I like it quite a lot myself, having the Hoplites there to push up and get engagements going. You really need to stop precursors, you really need to stop skirmishers from firing for an extended period of time on your Thracian warriors. And the heavily armored veteran and mercenary hoplite frontline allows you to do just that. But here you can see the Thracian cavalry has already taken fire from the mercenary Rhodians, and they will drop the Thracian cavalry very quickly. The Egyptian player doing something interesting here, going super concentrated. Concentrating his formation significantly in the center here, and it makes it easier to protect the skirmishers from the cavalry from any nastiness from these these Thracian cavalry. So they are being screened away now by Rhodians, and you can see that these guys are actually facing... They're actually facing backwards, no doubt to screen away from these Thracian cavalry. But they do need to turn their backs at some points, because the hoplites, the mercenary veteran hoplites, are roaming dangerously close. All of the citizen cavalry going off to the side now. Don't quite know what they're going for here, because there is no infantry support for them here, and so this could prove disastrous for Egypt. If the citizen cavalry gets intercepted, yeah, the Thracian horse are going to be able to hit 2 units of citizen cavalry here. The citizen cavalry looks like it's going to be blobbing around the Thracian horsemen. If the spears support here, they could do a lot of damage to the citizen cavalry. The Thracian royal cav could also do very well. So this one Thracian horseman is holding down 4 citizen cavalry. There is no support. The support is coming in way too slow, but it is coming. So the citizen cavalry pulling out now, and it's going to lose quite a few men pulling out like this, I think. Especially if the Thracian horse keep following them, but they don't follow. And here the mercenary veteran hoplites are being used to just goat herd the entire Egyptian army. So the entire Egyptian army is running away from the hoplites. Just need to be a bit careful, because these units here are a bit far behind. But let's see, it looks like the mercenary hoplites and the mercenary veterans, they are going to get hit by precursors here. But this is great for the Odrysian kingdom, being able to tie down the entire enemy front line basically. And holy shit, what a clusterfuck this is. Tying down the entire, basically the entire enemy front line. And all of the enemy melee units are engaged now. The thorax swords actually disengage here, and I think that's not the worst idea. But a royal peltas unit in here as well. The citizen cavalry is swinging around the flanks. The Thracian royal cav is going to absolutely murder citizen cavalry. 23 kills already. And here come the Thracian warriors in, and they're going to do... This is the kind of engagements you want. Once the mercenary veteran hoplites start losing a bit, sending in the Thracian warriors through the gaps. And yeah, look at the Galatian swords just dropping. More Thracian warriors. The skirmishers being pulled back. And pulling back the thorax swords here was a very smart move. The Thracian cavalry here just got destroyed by some slinger units. The mercenary hoplite is about to get charged by the thorax. They are in phalanx. The royal peltas are not doing too well here. The Thracian cav is not doing too well, but the Thracian royal cav is just mopping up the citizen cavalry. The citizen cavalry did manage to get into the Thracian skirmishers here, but now they're about to get hit by Thracian warriors, and the Thracian warriors are extremely good for charging into units like citizen cavalry and just getting them off the field. Looks like they're going to get charged by a second unit of Thracian warriors, so if the citizen cavalry doesn't manage to disengage here, they're going to be gone. The spears getting hit by some thorax sword precursors. The citizen cavalry just able to disengage here, but there is this unit of Thracian royal cav waiting for them, so there's no escape for the citizen cavalry at this point. In the center, Thracian skirmishers are fighting in melee, and the mercenary veteran hoplites are holding in the center. Won't expect them to do too well against this many units. Sneaky unit of Thracian cav, very important, getting into all of these skirmishers, doing a bit of damage and stopping them from firing. So the Thracian nobles have taken a lot of fire. They're still taking some fire. Looks like the citizen cavalry is trying to swing around here. They did manage to escape. Thorax swords screening away the cavalry and the spears here. This is very blobby. Extremely blobby. Disorganized and blobby. Thracian warriors have gotten some kills. The Thracian peltas are fighting. They are decent melee units here. I don't know if they've used their ammunition or not. I didn't notice. But yeah, the Thracian units are definitely breaking through here. Breaking through the thorax swords. Now the thorax swords on the side here are going to be in trouble. The Thracian royal cav is being kept in the back here. And that means that it's going to be very hard for these Rhodians and the skirmishers to escape. They are essentially trapped, and they are taking a lot of fire from these Thracian peltas now, just hammering the mercenary Rhodians with their 41 missile damage. Raising the banner to keep the units in the fight for a bit longer. The citizen cavalry is still alive in the back there. The general might have just died from Egypt. No, he's about to. He's about to die. Here come the Thracian Wall Cav, smashing through the Thorax Swords, and they are able to continue now into the skirmishers. The Thorax Swords spread too thin, and the Thracian Royal Cav losing decisively because they didn't manage to knock down the entire Thorax Sword unit. So the Thracian Royal Cav general, he's taken a lot of prior damage. He might bite the dust here, but it looks like there is enough Odrysian Kingdom on the battlefield. Although the citizen cavalry, they're doing a good job now in the backlines of the Odrysian Kingdom. The Egyptian general is nowhere to be found. He's running off the battlefield, but it doesn't seem like, although he's shattered, it doesn't seem like he's dead yet. So that's good for Egypt. Managed to save a few slingers, mainly, let's see, 2 mercenary Rhodians and 1 Egyptian slinger. This Thorax Sword standing around doing nothing, and now the Egyptian general is dead. Missiles being fired into the citizen cavalry. Probably going to rout any second. These mercenary hoplites are actually they are still alive, and even the veterans still alive. They didn't get too many kills here because the Thorax disengaged, but it's quite amazing that they were the frontline infantry and they're still alive on the battlefield. Now the Thracian general is dead as well. Getting a nice charge here on the Thorax Swords, follow up from mercenary veterans. But these skirmishers are a problem. I don't know how much ammunition they have left. They've done quite a few, caused quite a number of casualties. And anytime a unit has 100 kills but 2 experienced chevrons, that means that unit has been killing high-value enemy troops like Thracian nobles and Thracian royal cav. And the citizen cavalry is sneaking around here and oh, just didn't get a good charge there. So it's getting hammered by the missiles of the Thracian peltasts. I don't know what this Thorax Sword is doing now, why it's not supporting the fights. Now it's starting to support the fights, but it's going to get a face full of Thracian nobles here, trying to run away. The Thracian nobles are winded, so they're not going to be able to catch them very easily, but trying to buy some time here, for more time for the slingers to fire. Thracian peltas are going to eat those guys alive. Here comes the charge into the Thorax swordsmen, and they should drop reasonably quickly against the Thracian nobles. The Thracian peltas are a great little unit if used well. Huge armor penetration both on their javelins and on their short swords. Oh, look at that! Jumped on top of that guy and stabbed him. That's I don't think I've seen that animation before. But I don't zoom in too much either. Here's another little fight happening. Stabbed in the belly. And a costly victory there for the Odrysian Kingdom. So overall, a nice Odrysian Kingdom army. A lot lighter on the cavalry than what I would have liked personally. And it almost cost the Odrysian Kingdom dearly because of these skirmishers. But the hoplites did their job. The Thracian warriors, a second line, did their job. The Thracian nobles were focused on so much they weren't able to do much. And I think 2 Thracian nobles is a nice number. Any more than that, and they are of course extremely powerful, but they're also super vulnerable to precursors and such. So Egypt has the problem of they have the Galatian swords, but if we look at the Egyptian roster here, let's see, Egypt. Where is Egypt? Egypt, there it is. Yeah, the Egyptian roster, the Galatian swords cost for 70 for Egypt. And if we look at for example Galatian swords, 380. and they are essentially the same unit. 32, 40, 28. 32, 40, 28, 52, 35, 50. So 52, 45, 50 and 40 base morale. They are... The base morale of the Galatian swordsman is actually higher than the base morale of the Galatian swords. The armor here is 45, whereas it's 35 for the Galatian swordsman. So a few differences in stats. These guys not resistant to heat, these guys resistant to heat, but 480 is, or 470 is quite expensive for these guys. Maybe would have liked to see some carrion axemen, because they have the javelins, could be nice against the Odrysian kingdom. But Egypt, definitely not a power faction, and it comes down to not really having any good cavalry in the melee department. They only have the very expensive Ptolemaic cavalry, and of course being lacking in the mid-tier melee department. But they can do some interesting things with carrion axemen. It's just that it's not that powerful. Would be nice to see what Levi Thureos and carrion axemen could do together. Screening behind some pikes, that could be very hard for the Egyptian kingdom to deal with. But anyway, nice battle there sent by Imperator. It was funny how that first engagement happened, where, I mean, I think that's the blobbiest blob I have seen. And of course, that's anytime you get that many units charged, it's pretty bad. And that's one of the advantages of going wider rather than going very dense, is that if you go very dense and you blob up your formation, it only takes a few enemy units to tie down your entire front line, and that's pretty bad. But it turned out a lot closer than I thought it would after the first engagement. I think part of the reason was that there wasn't too much cavalry for the Odrysian kingdom to deal with all of those skirmishers. Strength and honor.